Honestly, right now, you're in a really good place in that you are moving the right people right now to where they need to be, and like you're going to hit your targets, benchmarks for progress known, and then you'll have your core members in a place where they can start shifting towards higher buckets of Sig Solid, or increasing rigor in their classroom if that's the next big thing for them. I also want to make sure that you're still thinking about how you're leveraging your core members' visions, because you've done a good job of doing that.
That's the only way I'm able to leverage making significant gains.
Yeah.
So
how are you thinking about how are you doing that?
It's been really different on each person. So like right now, some of my people, like Kay, for example, she's not re-DRing until January. Her and I met on Sunday because she DRA'd in October, so it doesn't make sense to do it right now. She's struggling with classroom culture mainly because of her vision. So what we met about was just ways to enhance classroom culture, thinking about her own vision. And so we shared resources on Sunday and talked about what can she implement in her classroom once because her kids have there's lots of attitudes happening in the classroom, and it's just sort of it's deflecting on the work. So we're starting with the classroom feeling, because it's hard for her to talk about instruction when she doesn't feel good in her classroom right now. So that's Kay. So in Joe, last night we mainly talked about writing, and the other pieces. The part of his vision that's missing is the student motivation, which we know from his last one when he was trying to make student trackers or whatever. But part of the reason why motivation is low is also because he's struggling with what to teach, and so kids aren't invested in that. So we talked a lot about how to teach writing better. Great. So it really just depends on the people. Tamara has semi-okay. She's at a 70% right now. It's not necessarily rigorous, but it's within reach. But her vision isn't coming to place with the other traits. So we spent some time working on that, and then realizing that. And next, when we come back from break, after she DRAs next week, we're creating a new reading plan so she can make the right gains with the reading, because she teaches SFA. So, and she has an hour and 15 minutes of ELA that she's allowed to do reading. So it just depends on the person, but it's a mixture of the traits and mindsets that are missing. If it's holding that teacher back, I'm starting there. If it's the instruction and feeling like their kids aren't making progress, I'm starting there. It just depends on where each person really is. With Mary Grace, I know she's going to make SIG gains. She's based on the growth her kids have already made with reading A to Z, from knowing nothing to some of her kids reading A to Z to I know she's going to be DRAing next week. The problem is it's not holistic right now with her vision. So it just depends on and with math, her kids are 80% or whatever it is. So so it just really just depends on each person.
And she was the person last night that you were working with, those other components?
That was Tamara, but we used Mary Grace's.
Okay.
Yeah. And I went on an excellent school visit when I was home, and so Illinois has has social emotional learning goals that schools have curriculums for, the same way you would have for math, reading, science, whatever. And so when I met with this charter school, I met with their social and emotional coordinator, who actually was one of the only non-Teach for America alums in the building, because she comes from school psychology or social work or something, and kind of what they do to track behaviors, and that yes, there's 3 big things in their vision, there are 3 big pillars at their school, but they also teach all these other things and track it as a school. And I saw something some of the classrooms were doing where they broke down the bigger piece of the vision into small little benchmarks, and then would introduce that to their class, and then that's the thing we're working on for the week. And then it's at the end of the week, did we reach this? Is there a measurement of how we reached this? And if we did, then it goes up on the wall now how we behave. And they had a tree and they were apples, or if it's not, it goes on the we're still working on. And so in Illinois, because there's so many social emotional learning goals, they're always random, based on not random, but it's not necessarily the classroom vision, it's the what's required, broken down. So what I'm doing with my core members is taking their vision and breaking it down. They're I just don't know how to teach. I don't get why my kids can't do this. Well, I want them to be critical thinkers. When I say think critically, they don't know what to do. I'm well, what does that mean? They're 5, they're 6. And so breaking that down into measurable objectives. Students will be able to state their problem. Great. When we problem solve, so we know what our problem is. So breaking it down. And so it just depends on who the teacher is, what I'm working on with them. With Chelsea right now, we have not even talked about her vision of traits, because we've only talking about her vision of academic right now, and we're recreating her reading block. So it just really depends. But
okay. I mean, I think the things that you're using core members' visions to help them to prioritize, I think that's the next phase of where we're trying to go in our work as a team. And so I want you to start to think about the steps and the process that you go through when you are using a core members vision. Because one of the things we're going to tackle when we get back in January as a team is, all right, for the rest of this year, one of the primary ways that I want us to be leveraging what's happening in classrooms is, first figuring out what's happening on the student level when we're in the classroom, or based on like test results or any kind of student evidence that we're seeing, figuring out what needs to change based on what we're seeing on the student level and based on this core members vision for what should be happening on the student level. And so I want to think about the process that you take to use core members visions to do that, or if core members don't have strong visions, help them to figure out how to get their vision stronger so that they can do it. Yeah, I mean.
So the other thing is, like, I feel like I don't have enough student the know, because when I'm in classrooms and I see students knowing the enduring drive of students, because like when I'm in classrooms, I have not been into a classroom yet where besides Kia's, and that's mainly because she only has 7 kids, of kids 100% on task, kids deeply working. I just haven't seen it. I see so much off task behavior, so much I've been in Jackie's classroom for the last 2 days, and I didn't see her teach at all. Literally today her kids were working on something and she was grading papers. I don't her kids are off task. Her boys were talking the entire class yesterday and there was no consequences given. And so, but there's no other, Tamara's class, it's a little bit, but I don't know if it's that it's their enduring learning in life for a vision, or just to do well. And it's I'm not sure, but it's an improvement from when I was in her class for the first time. So I don't know what that's supposed to look like to get a really good feel of yes, kids are, I hate using the word invested, but yeah, kids are truly invested in what they're doing because they know where it's going to take them. I just have not been into a classroom yet where I'm seeing that kind of behavior. I've seen bits and pieces in certain classrooms of certain things, but what I think about what that looks like, what the core member thinks that should look like, have been drastically different. They think it's a good day when kids aren't yelling at each other. You know what I mean? And yeah, my kids are really learning, and I'm yeah, but none of your kids did all the work today. You babied before them, and so it's just trying to get a better handling on that. It's the biggest thing I'm struggling with preparing for next semester.
And get a handle on helping the teacher to see that, or helping
really
them then
it's both.
Change what they're
seeing.
It's
all 3 things. What should it really look like when kids are really, really have this enduring passion for what they're doing because they know the outcomes. Then it's how to help the teacher identify where they are in that bucket correctly, and then the aligned solutions that they should be implementing to move their kids